Hey there, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to get into something that can trip up even the sharpest data experts out there. It's called a confounding variable, and trust me, it's a sneaky one.
And for this session, I want you to think of this as our own Tao Salon in statistics. A calm space where we can find some real clarity in all that noisy data.
Okay, so let's kick things off with a question that, on the surface, sounds, well, a little nuts. Does eating more ice cream actually cause more sunburns? I know, it sounds ridiculous, right? But it's the perfect little mystery to get us started.
And that leads us right into our first section here, a statistical mystery. So let's go ahead and put on our detective hats because we are about to investigate this really puzzling connection.
So if you just glance at the data, you'd see a super clear pattern. When ice cream sales go up, boom, sunburn incidents go up too. The numbers line up almost perfectly. But is that the whole story?
And this is where the plot really thickens. The data is definitely showing us a connection, but it's not what we think. There's something else, a third variable, working in the shadows, a hidden culprit in our data that's really pulling all the strings. All right, let's move on and finally unmask this culprit. It's time to formally meet the confounding variable. Yeah, that's the official technical name for this secret agent we've been hunting. So what exactly is it? Well, a confounding variable, or just a confounder for short, is this unmeasured third thing that's messing with our results. It influences both our supposed cause, the ice cream, and our supposed effect, the sunburns. Now, for a variable to get the official title of confounder, it has to check two very specific boxes. First, it has to be linked to the independent variable, our cause, that's the ice cream. And second, it has to be a direct cause of the dependent variable, the effect, so the sunburns.
Okay, so back to our mystery. What's the one thing that meets both of those conditions? I have a feeling you've already figured it out. It's temperature.
Let me break down how this works. It's pretty simple, really. 1. When it's hot outside, what do people do? They eat more ice cream. So, check. 2. When it's hot outside, people also spend way more time outdoors, which, you guessed it, leads to more sunburns. Check again. Temperature is the real reason both things are happening. So yeah, the ice cream example is kind of a fun little puzzle. But make no mistake, spotting these hidden variables is absolutely critical. So let's talk about why they matter so much and the real damage they can cause when we miss them. Okay, here's the bottom line. When you don't account for confounders, they can completely wreck the internal validity of your research. And internal validity, that's really just a fancy term for being confident that your conclusion, what you think you found, is actually true. Confounders they make that confidence totally impossible. And they can mislead you in a couple of major ways. First, they can make you think there's a cause and effect relationship that just isn't real. Like our whole ice cream and sunburn thing. Or second, even if there is a real relationship, a confounder can totally distort it, making it seem way bigger or way smaller than it actually is. This is how you get serious issues in research, like what's known as omitted variable bias. Okay, let's get into a more serious real-world example. Let's say a study comes out and it shows that states with higher minimum wages also have higher employment rates. So, does that mean raising the minimum wage actually creates jobs?
Well, not so fast. There could be a confounder lurking here, right? What if it's the state's overall economic health? Think about it. States with really strong job markets are probably the ones that feel comfortable raising their minimum wage in the first place. So the strong economy could be driving both the higher wages and the higher employment. It's not the wage increase itself. See how tricky this can get?
So, okay, we know the danger. The big question is, how do we fight back? Well, that brings us to our investigator's toolkit. We've got 4 key tools for controlling these sneaky variables. All right, first up, we have 2 methods, restriction and matching. Restriction is pretty straightforward. You just limit your study to a very specific group, like, only looking at 45-year-old women. It's easy, but then your results might not apply to anyone else. Matching is a bit more involved. For every single person in your treatment group, you try to find a statistical twin in a comparison group, someone who is super similar in all the important ways.
Our third tool is a really powerful one, statistical control. This is cool because you can do it after you've collected all your data. You basically just tell your statistical model, hey, I know about these potential confounders, and you include them as control variables. The math then works to separate out their influence so you can see the real effect of the thing you actually care about. And finally, we have the fourth tool, which is really the gold standard.
We're talking about randomization. This is where you randomly assign people to either your treatment group or your control group. If your sample is big enough, this simple act of randomizing ensures that all those potential confounders, even the ones you haven't even thought of, are spread out evenly between the groups. It's just the best way to truly isolate the effect you're studying.
Okay, let's wrap this all up and bring it home. It's time to put your new statistical detective skills to work, especially in the world of business.
We're going to boil it all down to 3 key conceptions, 3 powerful ideas you can start using right away.
Takeaway number 1. You've heard it a million times, but it is so true. Correlation is not causation. And the business implication here is massive. Just because sales went up after you launched a new ad campaign doesn't mean the campaign caused it, right? You have to ask, was it a holiday? Did a competitor run out of stock? Those are your potential confounders you have to think about.
All right, number 2. Internal validity is everything. Let's talk marketing. If you're A/B testing a new feature on your website, you have got to use randomization to put users into Group A or Group B. That's the only way you can be sure you're actually comparing apples to apples and that some hidden demographic isn't messing up your results. And finally, takeaway number 3. You can be proactive about this stuff. You have the power to control for it. So for all the researchers out there, when you're digging into consumer surveys, you can use statistical controls to zero in on the effect of one thing, like new packaging, while also accounting for other things like price or how loyal people are to the brand. The point is, you have the tools to get to the real answer.
So, there you have it. We've unmasked the hidden culprit, and now you have the tools to spot it in the wild. Which really just leaves one final question for you to think about. Now that you know what to look for, what hidden variables might be influencing your decisions?